let's talk about the final that's not official, but it sort of is.
Sort of?
Yeah. So let's talk Celtics and Mavs final. Oh, forget jinxes. That's what we're going to get. It's about as good as you can get in the NBA. The big brand Celtics with 2 stars, Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. And because of Mark Cuban's ownership, Dirk and the title, the Mavs carry some gravitas and weight in this league, and they've got the 2 best closers and the 2 best stars finishing games in Luka and Kyrie Irving. You have arguably the best player in the world, Luka, on a heater, and you have arguably the best domestic player in Jason Tatum. You have the drama of the Celtics duo. When are Jaylen Brown and Tatum finally going to deliver a trophy to this storied franchise? And you have the Kyrie factor. He hated Boston. They didn't like him. So 4 big factors. If you're not going to have a dynasty, LeBron, a Steph, or a KD, this is as good as the finals can get. And if Porzingis is healthy, I think I kind of like Boston in 7, but I don't know that. I've been burying the Mavs all season. I didn't like them against OKC. I didn't think they beat Minnesota. But Boston to the finals is probably the easiest sports prediction of the last year. They were 41-11 against the East, and then the Knicks fell apart, and Halliburton's hurt, and no Dame, no Giannis, Embiid wobbly. Listen, that was an easy one. Everybody in the world picked Boston in the finals. There was no reason to be a contrarian. Dallas to the finals? Yeah, I missed that about 6 times. I said it last week. I think Boston in this group is too good not to win at least 1 title. They're weird, though. Odd historically, they're a 50-50 bet at home against the Eastern playoff teams. Huh? And I think Luka is too gifted and too great for him not to win at least 1 championship. And this series actually reminds me of one I covered about 24 years ago. The Blazers and the Lakers. So the Celtics are the Blazers. More quality B-plus above players. A good staff. Gave the Lakers problems. Many times in the series, you thought the Blazers, a Scottie Pippen, a Sabonis, it could be Rasheed Wallace, Damon Stoudemire. They had really good players. They had the Lakers pinned in many games, took the lead in many games. That's the Celtics, a deeper quality team of B-plus players. And then there's the Mavs, which remind me a little bit of the Lakers, the 2 best closers. Shaq and Kobe won the series in 7. The 2 best closers at the time on the planet. 1 inside, 1 perimeter. That series went back and forth. Those were the 2 best teams. Both would have been beaten Indiana in the finals. 1 did the Lakers. Portland would have. But for a majority of that series, I was in Portland. I thought Portland was better. And they were until that slam dunk from Kobe to Shaq. And then the closers, coffees for closers, closed it. And that's how I feel about this series. I've been betting against Kyrie and Luka now for a month. And they're both in a heater. And Kyrie was a big swing. And aggressive wins in sports. And offense wins in basketball. I know. Defense wins championships. Yeah, I'm going to take Mahomes 4th quarter. I don't care what his defense looks like. And it is really hard to bet against Luka and Kyrie. Yeah, the degree of difficulty Luka takes with about half his shots is remarkable. And it feels like 65% go in. So I think I like Boston if Porzingis is healthy. But I've been saying this against every team that faces Dallas. I thought OKC was going to beat them with their youth. Luka was all banged up. I thought Minnesota would probably win their size in 6 or 7. I even thought the Clippers would give the Mavericks problems. Yes, wrong. Can't wait for it. Celtics will wrap up their series, I presume, tonight. Dallas will wrap up theirs in a couple of days. And I want to talk about Kyrie Irving. I've had my issues with Kyrie Irving, although when they made this deal on February 5th, a couple years ago, I said at the time, you got to take a swing. Mark Cuban's taking a swing. You got to get Luka somebody or he'll leave town. Kyrie is actually fascinating. He is the dilemma even the top GMs in the NBA face. When you have an all-time talent that can be moody, and difficult on a regular basis. What do? He was a disaster in Boston, mostly a disaster in Brooklyn. Before LeBron got to Cleveland, nobody liked him. And his first year was a tad turbulent in Dallas, but right now, it's incredible. And in the NFL, it's different. In the National Football League, your top stars usually get in line with the coach and the culture and the offense, defense, special teams system. They get in line. But the NFL's not a star-driven league. It's not. It's a roster-driven, shield-driven, GM coach-driven league with stars. The NBA is a star-driven league like international soccer, and they're going to get what they want. And most guys are good guys, but some guys are petulant and moody and difficult, and yet all world. And it's why even the best general managers like Pat Riley are going to take swings on a Jimmy Butler, a Kawhi Leonard, a Kyrie Irving, a James Harden. When you get these players that are just different, if that player's in the right frame of mind, you get trophies. You secure your job, your coach's job, your family's security, and that's why people take swings. I mean, I think it's been P.J. Washington and Gafford have been very, very nice supplemental pieces. But no Kyrie, and Dallas is already out of the playoffs. February 5th, 2023, we looked it up this morning. I said when Dallas went after Kyrie, well, it's going to be good or bad, but they're going to be a handful, and they're going to be nights that you can't stop them. And this is an offensive league over a defensive league. Do you realize in the playoffs, Kyrie leads the postseason in fourth quarter points? And that's playing with Luka. That's playing with the best scorer in the playoffs. So Luka needed a running mate. They got him one with a history of being difficult and moody and temperamental and his own guy. But I've been watching this league forever, and aggressive wins in sports, and you got to take swings. And the Mavericks, best two closers in the world right now, are playing in Dallas. The best people in any business are in it to get the ring. And Dallas looks like they're good enough to keep Boston from getting it even one more time. So, J-Mac, they have been your team. I will say this, for a 3-0 series, the T-Wolves Mavericks is a really fun watch. It doesn't feel that lopsided, whereas Boston feels like significantly better than Indiana. Dallas feels better than Minnesota, but the games are tight. Dallas has too many bad half-court offensive possessions, and when you have Luka and Kyrie, you have very few of those. Yeah. So the right team is leading the series, but you can see Minnesota picking up a win. I doubt it, but Minnesota was built to beat Denver. As we've talked about, they're not built to beat Dallas. And there's also something about teams grow. Like Dallas, before the P.J. Washington Gafford moves, they weren't the same team. It wasn't the same. So they're a different team than they were early in the season. So that's why when you went into the Minnesota-Dallas series, you could not take all their earlier matchups. We've seen that. You see it in college football now. Teams have an issue, then there's the transfer portal. And you see it sometimes in the NFL where Houston's a laughingstock. Oh, wait, they get C.J. Stroud and a good coach. They're a playoff team. So what's fun about sports, if you pay attention, are the trade deadlines, the draft. The NBA draft does not give you any immediate help like the NFL does, but the trade deadline gives you help. Dallas is out of the playoffs, even with Kyrie potentially, without this front line to match up against an OKC and a Minnesota. So the supplemental players, it's just give Dallas credit. Big swing on Kyrie, big swing at the deadline. Dallas tends to be, that's kind of the way to do it. Big swings and big D, and it's paid off.
They went after Porzingis back in the day. They thought he would be the running mate for Luka.
Yeah.
That kind of blew up. They had Brunson. They blew that one, right? They didn't want to offer him the money. And now the third pitch, and they hit it out of the park with Kyrie Irving. But to your point, Minnesota has led in the final 5 minutes of all the first 3 games.
No, it feels very, very close. But again, when these games are close late, one team's a brilliant offensive team, one team's based on defense, and you cross your fingers if Cat is in the mood.
Okay, but isn't your take that Jason Tatum has struggled in late game scenarios? Yeah. Does that give you pause for the finals?
There's no question. There is no question. I said it is Blazers-Lakers. That series came down to a couple Kobe-Shaq plays. If you covered that series, Lakers trailed by double digits in most games. Yeah. Phil Jackson acknowledged, we don't have a game plan for Rasheed Wallace. We really don't know what to do. It was just back and forth. But in the end, Kobe and Shaq were the difference. one of the great series it's probably the best series I've ever covered in terms of intensity and talent. So, I mean, I'll say this from an NBA perspective.
Oh, yeah.
You cannot do better than Luka, Kyrie, and the Mavs against Brown, Tatum, the history, Porzingis, Drew Holiday, and the Celtics. That is as good. We've been very lucky. March Madness, NFL Super Bowls. We've been on a string here for a lot of years. Celtics Mavs feels right.
It's just a tough one for rooting interest. I like Tatum a lot. I love Luka Doncic. It's like there's no one to dislike in the series. It's going to be great. Should be a fun one.
Hi, everybody. It's me, Uncle Colin. Subscribe here to get the latest from the herd, including exclusive behind-the-scenes videos and more, wherever you may be, however you may be watching. Thanks again for making us part of your day.